Alright, I didn't record through the last few games, though I think I will. I recorded them, but silently, so I hopefully have recorded a voice over them by now. But we can actually catch this one live. This is a game, I don't know, 5? Let's look. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it looks like 5. Um, then maybe I missed one here? Yeah, I don't think my list here is complete. But, so probably 6. But we get to catch this one, so that's nice. And I'm not even eating this time. Uh, but I do have to go pretty soon, so we might not be able to make it the whole thing. That said, Vida's first turn. The match is, I believe, still tied. All ties. Check that. Let's be factual. SE Kefka. Tie game 1, timeout game 2, but it was tied. Tie game 3, tie game 4. Maybe my list is correct. Cool. 4 ties. Already more ties than Delhi had in the entire rest of the tournament, so well job to Vid. In other happy news, I won the SE Batsu prediction contest. So good job to me. I had both Vid and Chickeny making the finals, I think. No, Vid and Akiyama? Something like that. Chickeny ended up winning. Congrats to Chickeny. But always fun to win prediction contests. Only Dalamar and I did over 50% calls correctly. So good job to Dalamar as well. All right, so we get 7, 6, 3, 7, and 7. Vid has 2 corners for 3, so you can see how his hand is relatively happy to see this. He does potentially, he only has 1 card that is good up and 1 card that is good right. Luckily for him, he does have coverage of 2, 2, 8, 8, and 3. But it might not be enough to stop Delhi going there, because Delhi has the recapture in 2 and the recapture in 6. So Delhi might feel like I can go there anyway, and it will still create problems for you. On the other hand, Vid might not mind seeing that, because if you look at Delhi's captures against Vid's card, a lot of them are covered, right? If you look at captures in 8, 1848 is comboed by 7457, and 7447 is comboed by 2288. So that, yeah. And so 2288 and 8 is Delhi's only uncomboable capture in 8. And if you look at his captures in 4, he only has 2 captures in 4. Neither of them are comboable, but neither of them are entirely comfortable feeling. For instance, 2288 and 4, if it's met by 1848 and 1 at some point, that card's safe, and Vid will have a safe card and cards to attack. While 5384 and 4 is probably the more comfortable way to take. But note, Delhi doesn't have similar counterplay against most of Vid's captures. So this makes sense as a starter. But I do wonder if Delhi can make the game upright in a way that will be difficult for Vid. Because Delhi does have captures with his 2288. He is not bereft of captures. Of course, if he uses that in 3, he then is bereft. So we'll see. Don't know why we suddenly went to a slightly fancier language than we usually use. Who can say? This seems like... So here's my take on the starter. The solver will say almost everything ties. That's my prediction. But I think almost anything leads to like some like, oh, that's a little uncomfortable, or I don't want to concede that. I think there's not a move that just like doesn't concede anything. Like 2288 and 3 seems very natural and standard. But it does give up a lot of capturing power, right? Maybe Vid plays in 4 and suddenly you're not so comfortable flip going in 8. You know, any move you make will make some kind of concession. And it can be really nice when you have the chance. Obviously, you don't always have the chance, but it's quite nice when you make a move and like you don't have to make any concession. You keep all your captures. You set up a challenge for them. You have good recaptures back. This is the desirable thing. And I think the better a player is, the more they are able to find that kind of thing out of positions where it doesn't look like it exists. So one move I'm kind of drawn to this might be a little silly, is instead of 2288 and 3, playing 1848 and 3. Because the 8 facing down is covered. So the 4 facing down is actually not so much worse, if worse at all, it might be better. Because each of them vid only has one capture, and this one vid doesn't have a secure capture. Um, and we still have the 6861 recapture in 2. Now, our remaining cards look really clumsy for the rest of the game, perhaps, but I'm not sure we're going to be able to avoid that. It keeps 2288 for 4 and 8, and Deli has picked up 1848, so I think we'll be seeing it in 3. I think Deli and I have landed on the same page, which has not been happening so much recently, I don't think, except there was one game where we were on the exact same page. But I think Deli's been on the same page as the solver, and I have not been. So we have been on different pages because he's been on a much better page of the book. A smarter, wiser, more thoughtful page. Nope, we're on different pages again. He goes in 2. My general belief about moves in 2 is they are good if you want to force the game into up down. And if you do want to force the game into up down, makes sense to get 1848 out of the hand. And vid is bad going up, but vid is not bad going down. So my first instinct is 2288 and 1 because it is safe and because Deli does not have corresponding safety in 3. However, this does give up our best card for recapturing 7, but we still have all recaptures if we're vid. So I kind of like 2288 and 1. I'm a big safety guy, as is widely known. And I could imagine a world where, like, you don't have ups, and that can make certain squares really hard to play in. But, like, you do have things like 1848 could land in 4. You have ways to perhaps use your other cards if needed. Now, I think 2288 and 1. Deli can maybe just stick something in 3. And I'm not sure the winning chances are that high for Vid. Because I feel like Vid should be able to push now. Yeah. I don't really see other compelling candidate moves than 1. Like 3 is covered, and you don't want to make the game upward, so it's hard for there to be some like follow-up after it's attacked. Also, Deli has a plus wall in 1 and you don't, so it's nice to get rid of. Also, 7457 facing up left is happier to see that. Alright, after a brief pause, we're back. And I still think what I thought a couple minutes ago. Ooh, we've gone to 7 minutes. Was it always 7 minutes? Did I miss that? Interesting. It's just, I think it's difficult for there to be another promising candidate move. Obviously, 2288 has some value to keep in the hand, but it also is somewhat redundant. And yeah, these level 6 cards, it's so hard to set something up efficiently towards the end. Alright, so what else? Another slight time skip, but that's okay. Yeah, I don't really see other candidate moves, but obviously Vid. I've talked about this before. There's a guy who had 6 facets of chess strength. And I think it was Axel Smith. No, was it not Axel Smith? No, it wasn't. It was It was that other guy, um, Eric Kislick, another chess writer. Um, and he has these sorry, I'm trying to find it. He has like six facets of chess strength. Yeah. And they are concrete knowledge, which is stuff you just know down cold. It does make a different move. Um, and in triple triad, there's not that much of that, right? Like anything you know about one position does not mean you have just solved a different position. Um, Positions could end up being basically the same, but there isn't really concrete knowledge. It's all pretty fluid. Um, Pattern recognition, there is a bunch of pattern recognition. Um, Calculation, there's a ton of calculation. It's why triple triad is so hard. Positional understanding, I would consider this generally like what squares do I want to be checking first in this sense, and that's, very relevant here. Logic, a lot of very clever moves are found by logic, like, oh, at the end of each variation I'm calculating, I have a problem in this square. Can I get rid of this square or create counterplay against this square in advance? And you can find these very obscure moves by calculating other lines and understanding something at the end of the sequence that leads you to new ideas. And then the last one is candidate moves. And I think Vid, it might not be wider necessarily, but has a very different set of candidate moves than I do. So we see this move in 5. It does set up a plus in 4, but it gives Deli first access to 1 and 3. Maybe he can do something with that, because 1 is more valuable than 3. Because 1 is pretty safe. But 1 was covered by this move. 8's down are covered, so he set up some combo potential. Okay. Okay, he covers a lot of squares. Yeah, he does cover a lot of squares. Surprising amount of squares. This was a nice move for making his remaining cards look good rather than garbage. One thought. So when I was stopping playing back in 2011 to 2012, but mostly 2012, I kept losing Jays, defending against Jays. I just lost game after game. I was really struggling with it. And I was specifically struggling with this type of J, I think. J's where there is some obviously strong reaction or strong seeming reaction to every move I can make. Or every move I can make has a downside. And I would get in like analysis paralysis because I would keep looking for a move that didn't have downside instead of saying, okay, here's a downside. Let's look at it for a bit, see if I can make it work. Here's a different downside. And instead, I would just keep scanning for a move that didn't appear to have downsides and I would get stuck. So what I'm sort of identifying is like consider a move like what's a good example? 7-4-4-7 and 1. It just concedes a card, right? I'm letting you take. And I would just stop thinking there. But it has real upside. It draws 7-4-5-7 out of Deli's hand. That's an important card to get out of Deli's hand. Now maybe I can follow up with 6-8-6-1 and 8. And I think there's a very good chance this just straightforwardly holds. If they play something like 2-2-8-8 and 3, because 4-2-8-7 sweeps me, well, 5-3-8-4 and 6, I can take 2-2-8-8 and 4-2-8-7 doesn't combo back. I'm going to get a tie there. And maybe there's some way to win, but I don't think so. I think this is just a tie. I think 7-4-4-7 and 1, 7-4-5-7 and 4, 6-8-6-1 and 8 just leads to a tie. Now, that doesn't mean 7-4-4-7 and 1 is good. There might be other reactions to it that are better than going in 4, though it seems kind of unlikely. But this is the kind of move I would like. I mean, we all remember things falsely, so we should take my words with many grains of salt, and we all remember things in ways that sort of flatter ourselves or reinforce what we want to believe about ourselves. But in 2008, I would not find the move in 1. I mean, there might be other options. I'm just giving this as an example of like, I look at this position now and I'm pretty confident that move in one is at least worth calculating further. And that this is a position where everywhere you play, Vid has some control. But if you just find something where Vid's control involves a sacrifice on Vid's part as well, using up the 7457, then you're probably going to be okay. In 2008, when I'm first playing, I am not finding this move. In 2009 and 10, and maybe 11, I think I am. And in 2012, I am not. I am very much back to kind of first principles. I am not playing enough. And I'm only able to play moves that don't feel to me like they have downside. And that was enough for me to make a finals that year and a quarterfinals that year. I was still a very good player. I was a good calculator and I was a good hand maker in general, though I was mostly card selecting my hands, but I was still making good enough hands that I was getting decent enough positions that I mostly didn't have to play moves with substantial downside. And so I was still able to find moves. But every time I hit a J position where they had my options covered, I would glitch like my bots now. Some of my bots glitch in J positions and they'll play in like 6 here. Now I wouldn't glitch that badly, but I would just like make straightforwardly bad moves if all my options were somewhat covered. And like I just couldn't get myself to think further. It was really unpleasant. And this is just a really good example of that kind of position where whatever you do concedes something and you have to find the move that like they concede something back. And Deli has done a very similar idea to what I was saying, though I was really focused on the one square. And my move may not have worked. We have no reason to believe that what I'm talking about was actually correct. I just calculated the one line, and calculating one line is not sufficient to be confident of a move, even if it is the critical line. But Deli has done something with a similar point. Like if I get the 7457 out of your hand, and notice that Deli's move has also made the game rightward, which my move didn't, which obviously Vid's hand wants the game to be leftward. So Deli's move is probably just like a straightforwardly better version of what I was saying. But I was really just struggling in spots like this, and I just lost a lot of games and was really unhappy with myself and my play. Now, I think Vid can play an 8 here. Note Deli is no combo potential in 4 or 6. So if Vid plays like 2 2 8 8 and 8, then 4 2 8 7 is guaranteed to go at least even on the right. And 7 4 5 7 is on the left, and 7 4 5 7 is guaranteed to go at least even on the right. So you're like, that it's a lock in a tie move, right? But it also suggests like maybe you can finesse it if you check both 2 2 8 8 and 4 2 8 7. Maybe there's some way to get something to work there, but I think that's ties. Another option is to take the idea in 1 that we had earlier. But Deli now covers 1 as well. 2 2 8 8 covers 1 pretty well. So that's probably not such a good idea. So I expect we'll see 8 and a tie. I'm not super long for this analysis session. I should end it with this game because, as I said earlier, I do have other things to do today. But I'm gonna quickly solver some other games in the map just to see if there was anything missed or like notably, oh, this is really good or something. This means I am quickly putting in games that I have recorded the video of but have not looked at before. And so this will slightly spoil my commentary on those. But so I guess for those games, I will just quickly check if there were any wins or losses missed. And not even what they were. Just leave it open. Just see if it pops out wins. So here, 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 here. Right, no wins missed this game. This is game 3. wins missed in game 3. Very good match so far. Seems like. Obviously, there can be games where like no pressure is found, so that there's no missed wins, does not actually mean it's at a really high level. But between these two, I think it does, because these are both creative and combative players in a way that like be very easy to get losing positions. Okay. Okay. There was a lost position in game 3. And it was huge pressure on Vid, but he did, on his move 4, end up finding one of very few ties. But that is a game where it looks like Deli missed a win, and we won't look at what it was, because I'll try to find it when looking and see if we think it was findable or not. Good chance wasn't, right? Again, I think these players are playing really well. I think this is Deli's first and only mistake of the tournament, which is pretty remarkable. Tournaments tend not to be won without, a number of mistakes along the way. Triple Triad is a very difficult game. Yeah, we're hitting the time when I really should be leaving. I'll start putting this one in the solver, and we'll see if there's anything here or was anything, because lazy. Deli played 1-8-4-8 and 6-8-6-1. He has 7-4-4-7, 2-2-8-8, and 5-3-8-4 at hand. And Vid played. Nope, that's the wrong hand. Vid played 7-6-3-7, 1-8-4-8. He has 4-2-8-7, 2-2-8-8, and 7-4-5-7 in hand. Okay. Solver likes Deli's move in 2. Does it like my move in 3? Likes Deli's move in 2 more. Yeah, Deli and the solver have been much more on the same page than I have. I wanted Vid to go in 1, which was a tie. Vid went in 5, also a tie. Deli goes in 3. Vid has 5 moves that tie. Note that every move in 8 ties, which is what I expect to have happen, but there's no win. And we have another really good game of the match. Vid, however, goes in 6. Now, I closed the solver, and let's do this on our own. There were ties that weren't in 8, but there weren't many. This is not safe, first of all. I think Vid is saying my 2-2-8-8 wins the bottom right, and my 7-4-5-7 is for the left, which is a kind of weird configuration of those cards, but it might just work. Does it, though? Yeah, it might. Because 7-4-4-7 and 8 is covered by 2-2-8-8. So 2-2-8-8 really does cover the bottom pretty cleanly. 6-4-5-5. Yeah. I was thinking that Deli could maybe combine 5-3-8-4 and 4, which 7-4-5-7 can't take, and 7-4-5-7 is the card for that part of the board, with 7-4-4-7 and 8, but 2-2-8-8 combos that. Starting with 2-2-8-8 and 8. Oh, sorry, 7-4-4-7 and 8. But doesn't quite work. So this looks to me like it is a tie. Like the game will go, for example, 5-3-4-8 and 9. Deli goes up 6-4. 2-2-8-8 and 8 pluses 5-5. 2-2-8-8 and 4 takes 7, 6-4. 7-4-5-7 takes 4, 5-5. I think we are headed for a tie. I think this is also a tie. All right, I will pop open the solver because I do gotta go. I am playing it fast and loose trying to record these videos. So let's not hang around. Let's just get an answer. Make sure it's right. Yeah, many ties here. Okay. And the move I was going to play, 5, 3, 8, 4, and 9, is one of them. All right, cool. So this game will end in a 5-5 tie, and hopefully we will catch future games.